Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am so excited to have this session. My name is Courtney Pollock. I'm the Customer Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies, and I'd like to welcome you to our webinar about best practices for upgrading your Acumatica, presented by Anna Snook. So before we get started, I have just a few housekeeping items to go over. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise to a minimum. However, throughout the session, we encourage you to ask any questions you have anytime. So just look for the Q&A section of your GoToWebinar panel, and you can get those questions in, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. In your GoToWebinar panel, you also have the option to download a copy of the presentation in the handout section, or zoom in, zoom out, change that layout if you're having issues seeing anything on the screen. We're also recording today's webinar, and it's going to be distributed tomorrow afternoon, the same way you got your registration link, and that will be sent out to everyone who registered today, but also those who registered and were unable to attend. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow afternoon. And then we'd also appreciate your participation in our closing poll and survey. So with that said, I'm thrilled that you've taken some time out of your busy day to be with us on this session. This is the last webinar of our Acumatica education series. So we hope you found all of these sessions, informative if you've had a chance to join us on the other ones. And like I said, those questions, we have Anna here today. She is an expert. So definitely take this opportunity to ask any question that comes to mind around Acumatica upgrades. SWK is always here to help you fulfill your vision of a smarter and easier way to run your business by providing you tools, support, software, and industry knowledge whenever you need it. So that's what we're here to do today, and that is enough from me. I want to introduce you to today's speaker. So today we have Anna Snook with us. She's our practice director for Acumatica, and she has been with SWK for over 6 years. So Anna has a ton of expertise around Acumatica, and I'm excited to help her today to share that information with you. So Anna, I'm going to let you take it away so we can get to the main event.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Hello, everybody. I hope you're excited as I am to talk about upgrades. I know it's a fun conversation to have, especially this time of year. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today. We're going to talk about why we should upgrade, when we should upgrade, how we get started, responsibilities, and even the post-upgrade process. So let's talk about why we should upgrade. So of course, it's new functionality and features. Acumatica puts out multiple releases, so 2 releases a year. They put out R1 that usually comes out around February, and then R2, which comes out usually around October. R1 tends to have more of your bells and whistle features because it is showcased at the Acumatica Summit. But R2 does have a lot of features and functionality changes as well. So don't feel like if you decide to wait for an R2 release that you're getting anything less in your functionality there. You may also need to upgrade because the version that you are currently on is going to be retired by Acumatica. So each version of Acumatica is active for about 18 to 20 months before it becomes retired. When a version is going to be retired, Acumatica will send out a notification that the version that you are currently on is going to be retired well ahead of time so that you can start planning to be off of that version before it is retired. And then SWK as well will send out notification and your CAMs will be notifying you that you're going to be on a retired version. So I know I might have just scared some of you about a retired version. So what does being on a retired version actually mean? Um, I Your Acumatica will still work, I promise. You're not going to come in, you're not going to lose any of your data, you're not going to lose anything. Really, what being on a retired version means in Acumatica is that if you contact SWK about an issue and we're unable to fix it on our own, and we've got to reach out to Acumatica and put in a support case, Acumatica is going to tell us that you need to be on a retired version support plan for them to actually help us. So there's no support of a retired support or retired version, if you will. The other thing is they're not going to do any major releases or fixes to a retired version. So if you do find a bug or something that's not working in a retired version of Acumatica, Acumatica is going to basically just tell you that you need to upgrade, right, to a newer version where that particular thing is probably already fixed. They're not going to do anything called a hot fix or any updates or build updates to that retired version. Probably the biggest penalty that they have right now going on for you being on a retired version is that at the end of the year, when you're coming up to your renewal, your yearly renewal, if you are on a retired version, Acumatica will associate a 25% penalty fee to your renewal. They're going to start putting that on the renewal automatically. And unfortunately, SWK does not have any sort of recourse on that. So let's talk about when you should upgrade, because that's super important. So timing is everything. We want you to plan your upgrade around when you can do some testing. So you need to think about seasonality. If you're a retailer, this time of year is definitely not the time to be doing an upgrade. We don't want you to be thinking about your business and seasonality when you're, doing an upgrade. We want you focused on actually testing your upgrade when you're doing your upgrade. So think about things like, do you do a physical inventory? Do you have a shutdown during a specific time? We want you to have the most time available to you to be able to work on your upgrade. So thinking about things ahead of time and kind of planning them out make the most sense. So I've got customers right now that have signed their SOWs to do upgrades, but they're intentionally not starting their upgrades until the first of the year because they know that the holiday season, they're going to have people out and on PTO. So they don't want to kind of, you know, have wasted time, if you will. So they're intentionally kind of putting things off. They've started the process, but they're intentionally waiting to kind of get things started, if you will, in their upgrade so that they have a um, full capacity. Everybody's focused on the upgrade and nobody's kind of thinking about the holiday season when they're trying to do the upgrade. The other thing to really consider when you're thinking about timing on your upgrade is that renewal date. Because Acumatica is associating that 25% penalty fee, we do have to really think about that renewal date. So we may have to kind of work backwards, right? So we may be thinking about when your renewal date is, if you're going to be on that retired version, and then kind of working backwards and thinking about when you should be starting your upgrade. Okay, so now I think you're asking probably, how do you get started? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to reach out to your CAM at SWK. And if you don't know who your CAM is, they're the ones that you generally talk to when you have questions about new products that you're looking into or issues with your invoices or your licenses. Those are the people that you would want to reach out to. They're going to help you discuss what version to upgrade to and the timing that we just talked about. Now, when I talk about the version to upgrade to, there's a point in the year because Acumatica does multiple releases in the year that you're going to have to decide whether you want to go to an R1 release or an R2 release. And that decision is completely up to you, but your CAM can help walk you through that process. Once you've made the decision about what release you're going to and the timing around it, your CAM is going to come to me and my department, and we're going to create an SOW or a statement of work for you. This is going to outline the hours and the cost for you to upgrade. And with an SOW, this is going to give you a PM and a consultant that's going to work on your project with you. Once the SOW is done, it's going to go out for you to review it and sign off on it, and then the fun begins. So, as Courtney said, SWK is all about us making things easier, but it's also about a partnership. We want to be a partner with you in this upgrade. And being a partner means that we're going to have shared responsibilities in this upgrade. So let's first talk about the SWK responsibilities, and then we're going to get into your responsibilities. So first, SWK is going to coordinate a kickoff call after your SOW is signed. We're going to introduce your PM and the consultant that's going to work on your project with you. In that kickoff call, we're going to talk about timing to basically spin up your free sandbox that Acumatica provides for you. Um, we're going to talk about when we should do this, and this is important because we're going to want to wait for any customizations that might be in the process of being uplifted, whether they're customizations that your team is uplifting or they're customizations that the SWK team is uplifting. We're also going to want to wait if it is a newer release for any ISVs that you may have or third-party partners that you may have that you're working with to be certified for that release before we get your sandbox. Again, this is in the spirit of making sure that your 90-day sandbox gives you 90 days to fully test your product. So we're going to talk all through that in your kickoff meeting and decide when to get your sandbox. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to get any customizations that you have in your existing production instance. We're going to copy those and we're going to put those in your sandbox once it's uplifted or once it's created. I'm sorry. We're also going to take any customizations that the SWK development team uplifts for you. We're going to publish those into the sandbox. We're going to go out to those ISVs. We're going to grab any of the ISVs that you may have. We're going to get the updated versions from the ISVs and we're going to publish those into the sandboxes as well. The next thing we're going to do is the consultant that's assigned to your project, they're going to go in and they're going to do some pre-testing. They're going to validate that the sandbox is working. They're going to do things like a test sales order, a test purchase order, just to validate that things are flowing through correctly. They're going to open up standard reports. They're going to open up standard GIs. What this does is just validates again that the standard normal Acumatica things are working. Then your project manager is going to coordinate progress check-ins with you. They're going to create a RAID log for you to write down any issues that you run into during your testing. And then after all of your testing is done, we're going to help you coordinate the upgrade of your live instance. All right. So now what are you guys going to have to do? So I want you to think way back maybe to when you were first implementing your Acumatica instance. We want you to test like you were in your UAT or user acceptance testing stage of that implementation. We want you to test like it's you're doing your daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly processing. We want you to do a day in the life of your system in this sandbox. Because Acumatica is uplifting things and changing things and adding things, they're changing the back end of the software. I have been, as Courtney said, at SWK for 6 years. I started out as an implementer. I've done my own upgrades. Have I seen an upgrade actually absolutely break the system? No, I have not. But have I seen it change people's processes? Yes, I have. Has it changed the location of a button? Has it moved things in the screen? Has it made the screens look different? 100% yes, it has. So to have your people in there testing things, validating that the way that they do their processes, the way that they're used to doing their processes is very important. You want them to feel comfortable that they understand in the sandbox the way that they're going to do their normal day-to-day things so that when you uplift your production instance, that they're ready for that. They don't feel like it's that first day of go live for a new system like they did probably, hopefully, many, many moons ago when you implemented Acumatica. So as you're going through doing your testing, you're going to be running into things. Sometimes they're little things. This report won't open. This report runs, but it gives me an error. Those sorts of things you're going to write down on your RAID log. This is super, super important for two reasons. One, your consultant's going to come back in, review that RAID log, and help you fix those items. Second, this is our tracker. The things that we fix in your sandbox are going to be things that we need to fix when we do your production upgrade so that you don't run into them in your production instance. We want to make that as seamless as possible. So as you're going through doing your testing, writing down anything that you run into. Once we've tested everything, validated everything from the RAID log has been fixed, we're going to have a discussion with you about choosing the right time to upgrade your live instance. What we're going to do is we're going to make the recommendation that we upgrade your live instance to the same version and build that your sandbox is, so that again, you've tested everything and now you're moving to the exact same version and build. Now, for SaaS customers or those that have everything through Acumatica, their standard upgrade window is from 11 p.m. Eastern Standard on Sunday through 11 p.m. Eastern Standard on Friday. So if you did want to upgrade anytime outside of that window, Acumatica may charge you an additional fee. So just that we just want to make you aware of that. SWK doesn't charge an additional fee outside of that window, but unfortunately Acumatica does. All right. So now you've upgraded. Your live instance has been upgraded. We've gone through, we've done the same thing that we did when we uplifted and created your sandbox. We've published all your customizations. We've pulled in all your ISVs. What happens after upgrade? Hopefully, because we've done a great job with our RAID log, we've gone through, we've documented all of that. We've fixed all of the issues that were on your RAID log in your production instance, and you go to work the next day and hopefully nothing pops up. But unfortunately, if something does, you've still got your PM and your consultant. They're going to be there those first couple days after your upgrade, just like they were in your implementation. If something comes up, you're going to contact them, put it on the RAID log, we're going to address it. You have our attention through your first couple days after your upgrade. We're going to address it. If we can't address it, we've got Acumatica's assistance as well. You're supported through this. Again, this is the partnership between us. Once things have settled down, hopefully very quickly, and you're back to normal, your PM is going to close out your upgrade project and you're going to return to our normal support. So when things come up, as they do sometimes, you're just going to either enter a ticket through our portal or send us an email through our support board. And that's kind of the end of your upgrade process.
Thank you, Anna. So, as she said, that is, high level, detailed level of everything you kind of need to go from beginning to end for your upgrades. And so I'm sure there are some questions about some more specifics or different things like that. So we are going to open it up to Q&A. I've had a few questions come in, but if you've not had a chance to enter in your question for Anna yet, you can do so now. And then Anna, I've got a couple different questions for you already. So are you ready to dive into those?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the first question I have for you is how long after the SOW is signed can everything get started?
Um, that's a great question. So it's kind of seasonality wise. I'll be completely honest, but in general, we can usually staff a new project, which an upgrade is a new project for us, in roughly 2 weeks after the SOW is signed. So you can expect that your PM would be reaching out to you within 2 weeks to schedule your kickoff call.
Okay, that makes sense. Another question we had come through was, should I move to the newest release as soon as it's available? I'm sure this is a question you get all the time.
It is, and I am more of the try to stay on the safer side of things. So I always tell customers that I don't prefer that they move to the newest version the first moment that it comes out. And I'm sure Acumatica just loves it when I say that. But I do have my reasons. Usually the first couple build releases that come out after a version is released come out very quickly. And that is because a lot of people do go to those releases and they're testing it and they are finding things that are maybe not perfect, things that are maybe a little buggy, that don't work perfectly. So I tend to not want my customers to be the beta testers of those new releases. So I like the versions to be out a month or two before I want my customers to go to them. So I don't say go to it in October or February, but maybe a month after it's been out.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And when we're talking upgrades, can you tell me, someone asked how long does an upgrade really take? So I know that might be a little bit of variation there, but can you go dive into that a bit?
Well, Acumatica gives you your 90-day sandbox for a reason. And I will say that, and it's really, you know, SWK can go as fast as you can, but it's really about thorough testing. So if you've got a team that can really dedicate the time to doing the testing, we can go as fast as you can. But realistically, it's going to take at least 30 to 60 days for you to test through all of your processes in all of your departments and validate that everything is working. Um, Especially if you have ISVs or third parties and customizations. Those things just unfortunately take a little time to vet out. And you guys know your processes much better than we are going to know your processes after an implementation because you're living in them. So that's kind of why we ask you to do that daily, weekly, monthly, yearly process review. It's super important. So that's why we ask you guys to take your time and not try to rush through it.
Okay. And I actually had another question come through around ISVs and versions. So this audience member said, is there a time frame that ISVs must be recertified for a new version? They said, I'm just thinking 18 months minus the ISV can make upgrades continuous and challenging. So can you, speak to that a bit?
Yes, most ISVs are usually certified within 90 days of release. There are some ISVs that get certified very quickly. Some are certified as soon as the version comes out. They work with Acumatica as they're releasing it to be certified. Unfortunately, some ISVs are not as quick and do take that full 90 days to get certified.
Okay. And another question we had come through is there a recommended approach to upgrading builds?
Yes. So builds are a little bit different. They're not a version, right? So Acumatica doesn't give you the sandbox to do much testing in it. The idea behind build updates is that there's not a bunch of coding. mm, there's not a bunch of coding changes in the background. They're really just for bug fixes and things like that. So the idea is that a build update is not going to be as substantial as a version upgrade, which means that you can do them on a regular basis without much fear of customizations or ISVs having any impact. Um, if you're on an always current licensing model, Acumatic will actually push build updates to you on a regular basis without I think they give you notice. I think it may be a 2-week notice. But we've not actually seen, I don't think, any issues on build updates having any effect on customers or customizations or ISVs. So their rule of thumb is that they're pretty safe to do on a regular basis and don't require very much testing.
That's great to know. Um, we've still got a couple questions here, so thank you out there
Mhm.
in the audience. Another
Yes.
question we have is, how do I know if a new release has functionality that replaces something we customized?
Ooh, that's a great question. So Um, Acumatica puts out this lovely thing called release notes, and they are super long. But you can search within the release notes by area. So you can search within the area and say, like, if you've customized something in field service, you can search for field service and it'll list you all of the changes within field service so that you can kind of identify and maybe see if your customization has been consumed within Acumatica.
Okay. And I'd be remiss on the marketing side of things if I didn't, let everyone out there know that, not as detailed as those really long notes reports, but if you're looking for some of those highlights for each release, SWK does put out a, overview of each release on our blog every time those come out. So that's also something if you are signed up for our newsletters, which if you're a customer, you should be getting our newsletter, or you check out our blog, we are always putting up a high level, sort of condensed version of that release that also has a link to the fuller release if you want to dive in and search it, and look for that information that Anna just talked about. And potentially our final question, unless we have another one come through. Oh, I think we did. Look at that. They're ready to go. Another two more questions, maybe. How are existing trouble tickets impacted by an upgrade?
Um, I'm not sure if I understand trouble tickets. If you mean how are existing tickets that may be logged either with the SWK support team or the support team with Acumatica, um, they would be worked similarly. Sometimes with the SWK, I'm sorry, with the Acumatica support team, they let us know that things are fixed in an upgraded version, and they'll let us know what version and build, I should say, that they're fixed in, so that when we upgrade you, we take you to the correct build and version, so that you can test that and validate that it is fixed in that build and version for you. If it is a support ticket that you're working with an SWK support team member and you're doing a upgrade, the support team member would be aware of your upgrade project because we can see it in our boards that you have an active project, and that team member may ask you to test that area that you're working in or having trouble in your upgrade to see if it is resolved there. If it's not, they would continue to work it in your current live production system, and if they're unable to resolve it there, they would then ask Acumatica for assistance as well.
Okay.
If I didn't answer your question, feel free to ping us and ask additional questions and let us know, though.
Great. Thank you so much, Anna. So that concludes today's Q&A session. Thank you everyone out there in the audience for your questions and your time today. As we wrap up, we just want to say a quick thank you for joining us. We hope you found the Acumatica Education Series informative and that this session itself has been informative and given you everything you need to know about Acumatica upgrades. As always, you can reach us at info@swktech.com if you have any questions. You can always reach out to your customer account manager, your SWK rep, if you are a SWK customer. And then we're always sharing a lot of different things on our social media and on our website and our blogs and our resources. So you can always check us out there at swktech.com. So thank you, Anna. Thank you, everyone out there in the audience. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.